Scott, connect the rooms for me, will you, this time, so I'm not leaning over and blocking everybody out. We're live, but hang tight, guys. We got to let it breathe. You know the drill. You know how we do it. We just got to get Facebook in on this action. And it looks like we are good. So welcome in, everybody. It is today a gut reaction episode of the Mile High Huddle podcast. It is obviously a little bit different look because in case you missed it, we've been at the stadium all day, rocking and rolling, MHH meet and greet. It's been a gas. And I got to tell you, vindication. Broncos, MHH meet and greet remains undefeated. When MHH is out in full force, the Broncos, they show up, they step up, they win. It even snapped Nick's curse. The mojo, all right, what has more power, the MHH mojo or the Kendell curse? We now know the answer. Nick got a win. Finally, he saw the Broncos win. So real quick, guys, we'll talk about the meet and greet here in a moment, okay, because it was such a gas. Probably the biggest and best one. Look, here's Chris throwing down. Symbolic super chat, as he is wont to do on game days. Thank you, bro. He's saying MHH is undefeated. We missed you. Honestly, we missed you. Hope to see you on the next one. Thank you for the support, Chris. Let's talk about the game for just a minute here, guys. We're in my hotel room because it's just not feasible to try and do the stream anymore from the stadium, alas. But let me start. Eric, first things first. Broncos defeat the Packers 19-17. What was your gut reaction and some of your observations from the game?
The defense played a lot better than we've seen recently. They finally stepped up a little bit, and still some issues on the offense. Mike McFlinchey's got to figure it out with the false starts and, just not constantly losing. But it was more of a complete game than we've seen from the Broncos all season.
Nick, some of your thoughts.
Broncos offensive line in the run game, especially. I mean, they were efficient the whole game. They were breaking off decent runs. They were not getting stuffed very often. The Packers have a large number of first-round picks on that defensive front, and I was really impressed. Not just I know we all say running backs don't matter or whatever, but I mean, P. Ryan contributed. Javonte Williams, probably his best game since the injury, and Jill McLaughlin contributing. So the Broncos running backs and the run game were my big takeaways from the victory today.
Lance, brother, we got to hear from Lance, who has been an absolute monster today, showing out in force. What is it? What'd you see today? What was the takeaway?
Well, the big thing is I think that this was one of the most complete games that we've seen, at least from the defense and the offensive side of the football put together. They played complementary football. The Broncos, they came out, they established the line of scrimmage on offense. They got the running game going, even though I wish they would have committed to it just a little bit more, especially down the stretch where they were gashing the Green Bay Packers offensive line. Like Nick said, Javonte Williams had arguably his best game coming back from that injury. His eyes were in the right place. His footwork looked really good. He broke a couple of tackles, and just it was really good to see this team finally come together, even though it was still kind of an ugly game, but you know what, an ugly win is still a win, and that's the thing that matters the most.
The Broncos avoided total abject disaster and an 0-4 start at home, which would have been the first time in I think forever, right? That would have been the first time it ever happened. Sean Payton got his first win. I got to tell you, there was a stretch there in the second half where you could feel the gut check set in with the whole team. And also the stadium. Look, we've got a top rope super chat, Troy, who was here today. Yeah, so cool to meet you and hang out with the little man as well. Jonah. Yes. Jonah. See? Steel trap, Troy. Thank you, bro. Very generous. You make the trip. You hang out. That's an expense. Then you throw down a very generous super chat. So thank you, my friend. He says, thank you for the meet and greet. Glad the Nick curse was broken. Looks like a different defense, and its KC performance looks more impressive today. Bracing for next week. Thank you again for the cap for my stepson. We gave him a hat. Great to meet everyone. Absolutely. Nick, what do you foresee? How do you make sense of the changes that have happened on defense?
Honest to God, this is going to sound basic and lame, but they're just executing more. Yes. I think the run fits have been more solid. It feels like they know what they're doing more. I don't see anything that's changing dramatically scheme-wise. I just see them making the tackles better.
Let me ask you this. How big of a difference has it been getting Jewell and Simmons back as far as communication, fits, and all that?
Oh, absolutely been huge. I mean, those two guys are in the right place consistently. You're not having those big breakdowns. That's another big takeaway today. other than the A.J. Dillon pass, I don't know if the Packers had – there was a Christian Watson pass too, but I think those were the only plays the Packers had today over 20 yards. So the Broncos did a really good job. I know the bend, don't break is a little bit of a – curse word sometimes for some folks, but the Broncos kept the Packers from hitting those back-breaking plays, made them have to earn it. We saw the Packers continually, false starts, holdings that would set them back, and they just couldn't get up. So I think the execution and the just overall fundamentals of the defense have been much better from them rather than anything that's changed schematically.
It's a huge improvement, and it's showing you that even though the offense is far from a finished product and far from where Broncos country wants it to be, I know we're talking about the Green Bay Packers, but the offense with Sean Payton, as they work out their kinks, it's good enough to win on Sundays if you get a complimentary performance from the defense. Against the Chiefs, obviously 19 points, probably not going to get it done, although last week you would have had a chance if you could have scored like that. Eric, what did you make the couple of controversial moments from the game? The simultaneous catch, right? PS2 and the Green Bay Packers touchdown. What did you make of that?
Well, I mean, it's just the way the rule is written. I mean, a simultaneous catch goes to the offense. It was a great play by Sutton. It was a great play by the receiver and Surtain. Yeah, sorry. But
we've had a long but very good day.
But yeah, it's just the way the rule is written, and it sucks because it gave them that touchdown, but it is what it is.
Lance, what do you make of the Kareem Jackson hit? Was it dirty? Did it deserve the flag? And the fact that he's getting ejected, he's obviously, he's public enemy number one to these officials.
I think the big part is just the launch angle. It didn't necessarily look like he took off and launched towards the head, but with Musgrave going down to the ground the way that he was, it was just one of those bang bang plays that continuously see with Kareem Jackson. It's the repeat offender thing. He just got $43,000 worth of a fine this last week he's been fined in 5 of 7 games this year. He's probably going to get suspended after this hit against Musgrave. Watching it back, I didn't think that it was necessarily too egregious, but at the same time, I do think that the NFL officials, not to say that they were like targeting him by any stretch of the imagination, but they have that, he's got that target on his back because just the reputation that he does have, if you know what I mean.
Well said, my brother. We got a super chat here from Ed, who we got to meet for the first time today. Really cool. Ed used to live on the right coast, so to speak, on the East Coast. He's recently moved to Denver, so he's close. And today we got to hang and chill with Ed for a little while, which was really cool. So thanks for making the trip down to see us, Ed. And thank you for the super chat, Big Dog. He says, we won. I am happy. I hope it doesn't come back to bite us in the naughty word. It was great to meet you guys today. Had a blast. Thank you, brother. It really was. The Ronk in the house. What's up, Mike? So good to see you. One of these days you got to make the trip for the meet and greet because it is a gas, dude. We missed you today. Hopefully we get to see you on the next one and really appreciate you. Thank you, bud. We're going to do some rapid fire here on the super chats and try and catch up and then share some more thoughts here. The Papa Bear in the house. He was here today, hanging out the entire time. And then he also, of course, went and enjoyed the game. And then we even gave him a ride back to his hotel because he's family. He's the Papa Bear. He's David McElrath saying it was outstanding. Thanks, bro, to make the trip. A guy who's traveling many hundreds of miles to get here, that expense, the expense of getting a hotel room, the expense of feeding yourself along the way, finding a ticket to the game, which he did, and then to throw down a super chat as the cherry on top. We're honored. We thank you. Really appreciate you, David. You the man. So good to meet you. Look who it is. Dale in the house. D-Dub. Now, this was a cat. Sorry, Dale. Ethan in the house. This is a cat. I know that Scott has had an opportunity to meet Ethan, but one of these days we all want to meet. You got to make the whole trip out. You got to come out all the way to the promised land. But a very generous super chat from across the pond. He says, Nick, the linebackers sucked. Just be glad the Packers suck more than Denver. Don't even try to say the linebacker play was good.
17 points today. Only give up one, I think no runs, only one run of over 10 yards. I didn't think they were very poor today overall. I mean, were they outstanding? No, but 10, 11 tackles. I think Singleton set a record for 10 tackle games in a row today, 5 straight games. They're not difference makers. I had more of an issue, honestly, with the pass rush today. I don't think Love really got hit very often.
That was brutal.
But overall, I'm going to have a hard time complaining about the defense considering where they were just, 2-3 weeks ago. So, and real quick, I did want to say one thing we haven't talked about yet, but wanted to give a shout out to Cortland Sutton today.
Yeah.
Had an awesome game and that touchdown dial up for him as well. The first completion of the game. This was one of the best games from Sutton we've seen in a bit as well. So did want to give a shout out to that guy. 6 receptions, 76 yards, and a beautiful dialed up play with trips formation to the left from Sean Payton. Just an absolutely great game from Cortland Sutton. Maybe his last game as the Bronco. We'll see what happens here, but did want to give a shout out to Sutton.
Guys, apologies if you see me leaning over and blocking Lance out. We're kind of we're making lemonade here doing the stream with not our normal setup, so bear with us here. Miguel, brother, good to see you. Look, a lot of love for Nick. I told you. We scheduled the meet and greet in October so that we could finally get Kendell off a mountain somewhere near Seattle in time to be here, and he made it, and it's great. The whole Kendell clan, it was so fun to hang out with everybody. But he's saying, Nick, so pumped you finally got to see the Broncos get the dub, maybe a turning point, Broncos. Yeah, that's the thing. The optimists are going to want to read into this as a potential turning point. I have a hard time resisting that. I want to believe, but at the end of the day, the last 7 years have taught me to not get my hopes up too much. But Eric, what are the odds of this being perhaps a turnaround moment? I mean, the Chiefs coming up next week. What are they, 2-5 now? Is there a shot in a snowball's chance in HE double hockey sticks that they can turn the ship around?
I mean, there's always that chance, but watching the game, obviously I haven't had a chance to watch it back yet. There were still enough issues that still make me skeptical of beating the Chiefs. But watching the defense, I was skeptical of the performance against the Chiefs because the Chiefs shot themselves in the foot a lot. But watching them against the Packers, and granted it's the Packers offense, which isn't great, you're building confidence that you can carry over after what they did against the Chiefs already. And then this game, like, the confidence can help them like continue this trend going forward.
Well said. The Duchess jumping in. We got to hang out, of course, with Michaela. She came out. Listen, Michaela, I'm going to call you later because we do have to settle up on a couple things. So thank you for being there. Thank you for the support as always. You mean the world to us. So love you, appreciate you, and thank you. So glad you had a blast. We had fun. It was like there were a few moments at today's meet and greet where it was like, am I in a mosh pit or is this the MHH meet and greet? It was really cool, the turnout. Let's share some thoughts on that real quick. Lance, have you been to all three?
No, so
you missed last year.
I missed last year, yeah,
so
unfortunately.
He's been to 2 of the 3. Tell us what you thought of this year's meet and greet.
Dude, it was so awesome just to see everybody come back. I mean, Papa Bear was there, Bama X was in the house. We had Robot. We had, obviously Michaela was there. Naj was in the house. Just everybody. I mean, a bunch of other people from other different websites come around and whatnot. I had a bunch of new friends that, I've talked to just, privately or even here on the shows, but to be able to go in and meet everybody, and meet Nick's parents, meet Carl, and meet everybody for the first time it was an absolute blast. It really was. Like, if you guys get the opportunity to come out, please make sure you do, because as I was telling everybody, without you guys coming out and showing the support, whether it's on the website, whether it's here doing the show, whether it's super chatting or just even coming for the comments on Twitter and stuff like that, we can't do this without you guys. Like, quite honestly, that's the biggest thing, is to put names to faces and just shake everybody's hands and just show the appreciation, the love that everybody has for us, and to be able to reciprocate that. That was such a great feeling for me today. And I really appreciate everyone for showing up for that.
Well said, Big Dog. Eric, you've been to perfect attendance, brownie points with the boss, all 3 meet and greets. What was there anything different about this year's? What were your thoughts about today's meet and greet?
Well, I mean, this year, talked about a lot. Bringing my brother, saw him post a couple things.
We got to sing happy birthday to him and embarrass him.
But having him there was awesome. But I touched on what Lance said. Like, just getting to know everybody in the chat a little bit. Like, you guys have every night you get an hour insight into us a little bit. A lot of us talk about our personal lives on the show a little bit, but it gives us a chance to get to know you guys and all that. So it's just awesome meeting you. But every year it's always such a surreal feeling when people come like, you're Eric. Like, it's such a surreal feeling. Like, it's just awesome. Like, and if you haven't made it yet, hopefully next year, like, more and more. Like,
don't let it get to your head though.
That's hard. It's hard not to happen.
Look who it is. We got Papa Kendell in the house. Got to hang out with Darren today. I forget. I'm sorry. What's your mom's name again? Chris.
Yeah.
The Kendells. So awesome and great people. Obviously very proud of their boy. So congratulations on that. Darren, thank you for the support. Look, he's throwing down. He's going home with a few trinkets. But so cool to meet your parents. And of course he brought the missus and it was really cool.
Yeah. Get home safe tomorrow, Dad.
Okay. We have to unfortunately keep tonight's live stream relatively brief. We still got a little bit of time, but we got a lot of work to do and it's kind of a less than ideal setup for us doing the live stream this way. The cameras kind of suck. We're in a hotel room. We're all sitting on a bed and just like making the most of it. And it's great. We love being here, but we got a lot of work to do on the written side. So forgive us. We'll make it up to you. But Ethan jumping in again, brother, thank you. He says, this win says we have the right coach. So Nick, do we have the right coach?
I think so. One game is, the broader sample size is still 2-5 on the season. But I mean, the one that I think we do got to give a little bit of shout out to is Vance Joseph on this one. I mean, both touchdowns today for the Packers were fluky as hell. Let's just be honest.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
The interception could have gone either way. The double tip pass. I mean, defense played well. And I think that's a testament to Sean Payton as well, circling back, because, it'd have been easy to fire him, to scapegoat him early. And he stuck with him. And the defense, I think, is playing a lot better. I mean, like Eric said, was that Chiefs game last week fluky? Packers, I mean, Jordan Love looks, a little bit out of his sorts there. I don't think he's going to be, the Packers are not going to be rolling 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in a row, I think we can say right now.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, I think this is a good feather for Sean Payton going forward, and we should be confident with that. And I mean, just the design as well. I mean, the balance today, guys were open. The players are the players, but I thought the scheme and everything was pretty darn good today.
What do you think? This is a subject that I just want to spend a minute on. Is this more evidence, Eric, that this is that Sean Payton has the Broncos on the right path?
Yeah, I mean, outside of the game against the Chiefs, I haven't really questioned the play calling a whole lot. So this game was like going right back, getting back on track with the play calling, getting the weapons involved early and trusting the weapons to go make a play. And just using them. Like some of that falls on Russell Wilson too. He had more trust. He had that one throw to Wilson or to Sutton where Sutton was pretty tightly covered and Sutton just went and got the ball. So got to tip my hat to Russell Wilson too for just playing smarter and being a little bit more aggressive with his throws than we've seen all season.
Yes. I want Lance's thoughts on this. Are the Broncos on the right path with Sean Payton? And then we're going to do some rapid fire on Super Chat.
Well, I think the one thing that you saw today from this team, not only is just the competitive desire, complementary football, but resiliency. This team showed resiliency. They were up 16-3 at one point. The Packers came back. They scored those 2 touchdowns. And like Nick said, yeah, they're fluky, but they didn't get down. They marched right back down the field. I had an opportunity to score a touchdown, ended up not being able to get it done, but they kicked the field goal there to take the lead. And then the defense came back out, and while they got the unnecessary roughness hit on Kareem Jackson shortly right after that, I mean, PJ Locke, the play that he made on the interception where he was all the way on the other side of the field, I'll bet you he went 25 yards to go and make that interception to seal the game. It was absolutely incredible to see. So just I think the big thing here is trusting in the coaching, trusting in the schemes, trusting in your assignments, and executing was really big today. But just the sense of resiliency you saw of, yeah, we got knocked down in the fourth quarter there, but we came back, we made the plays that we needed to, and we got the first home win of the season. And that's again the overarching key takeaway that you need to take from this game.
Huge, perhaps like growing moment for the team as a culture to realize, okay, we've been here before where we get up, things are going well. Of course, the other guys get paid too. They storm back in the second half. We go into a shell and lose the game. It started feeling that way for a minute in the fourth quarter, but the Broncos bounced back and overcame it. And having that belief to go, okay, as a collective, now we know we can do that. We don't know the limits of how that can help this team that's still relearning how to win, and that's a big obstacle for Sean Payton. All right, back to the Super Chats. David Kilgore, what's up, dude? So good to see you. He says, I didn't understand why Jackson was thrown out of the game. He led with his shoulder on the hit, so it looked like a legal tackle. Can you please explain? I mean, and thank you for the Super Chat, David. My explanation on this, guys, and I want your thoughts, is simply he's a repeat offender, to use Lance's phrase, and the officials were already on their toes relative to Kareem and watching him with the microscope, so to speak. And then you factor in the wham bam, such a quick thing that it's maybe an overreaction. I agree upon at first, though. I mean, if you're those guys, you're watching it real time. I mean, Jeff and I, we're watching it where I said, oh, yeah, busted, dude. And then upon review, you're going, oh, wait a minute. No. But he's such a repeat offender. So he doesn't get that benefit of the doubt. Nick, your thoughts?
I mean, at this point, yeah, he has the wanted poster entering every game, right? So it's going to happen. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he's suspended from this one. He might appeal it because on replay it didn't look as bad, but Scott always likes to say he leads with his head, so it's always going to be an issue. I mean, he's a small guy. What is he? 5'10", 190 for a safety. That's pretty small. So he has to come with some violence. I wouldn't have him totally change his style because then I could hurt himself too. You got to be a little bit smarter and pick the time and place. But that's I think it's going to happen, and it won't be the last time we see him probably ejected.
What about the depth at safety has been atrocious, right? What were your thoughts on PJ Locke? Thank God he's back, right? You know, having to rely, unfortunately, on Delarin. Yeah, but how Delarin? No, Delarin Turner-Yell was bad for the Broncos early. PJ Locke recently back off of whatever it was, IR or PUP, I can't remember which one. Short-term IR. Look at this. It made a big difference, though, PJ Locke. So thank the football gods. Ethan from across the pond, he wasn't here today with his presence to show the love, but he's showing it on Super Chat in a big bad way because, you know, when you look at the conversion rate on a British pound relative to American dollars, it's like our birthday today right now. Thank you, Ethan, dude. Seriously, love you. Appreciate you so much. He says it's a good win, but is it?
He's talking about probably the big term. Probably talking big picture here, right? Bad Packers team. And we can probably pretty comfortably say that was two teams that are not going to be playing postseason this year, watching them play. And also, you know, a lot of Broncos fans coming into this game with eyes on the NFL draft, but it's hard to win in the NFL. And this is a team that needs to figure out how to win. Fortunately, if you are, you know, eyes all ahead towards the draft, almost every single team that the Broncos were in competition with for that top pick won as well. So we'll just see how it plays, but it's hard to win in the NFL. And I feel happy. I feel most happy for those players. I mean, they've been dogged this year. It's got to be just totally horrible to be in that locker room after, that Miami game. I can't imagine the flight home after that. Get a tough home win like this one, a tough game. I mean, they had a halftime lead and they finally held on to one. So, I mean, it's that little things, hopefully learning to win. Maybe you won't see the results this year, but it's going to take baby steps for the Broncos, and maybe today is one of those steps.
I think the big thing, Nick, is what you just said, learning how to win. This team has been losing for, 7 or 8 years now? I mean, you can talk about Russell Wilson, DJ Jones, K'Wan Williams, the guys that have had like winning cultures before in their careers, but the majority of this roster, Justin Simmons, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Garrett Bowles, the main core of this roster, they don't know how to win. And I think today was a big thing. Like I said earlier, just the resiliency, but learning how to go out there and make the plays, learning how to win. I think that's the biggest takeaway you have to take away from this game.
Well said, Ethan. Again, dude, your generosity. That's two big super chats and then like a massive top rope, dude. So love you, dude. Thank you. Claude, brother, appreciate the support on Facebook. He's saying a well-rounded performance. That Packers touchdown was an interception by Surtain. Go Broncos. Big boy stars from Claude. Thank you, big dog. One of these days, we hope to be able to meet you at one of these events at the stadium. So we'll look forward to that. But thank you, Claude. Chief Braided Hair Brady in the house. I always stumble over that one. Thank you, Chief. So good to see you. Let's go Broncos. Let's go MHH. Right back at you, dude. Thank you, bud. Unique Prepping. This is Zach Smouse. We got Smouse in the house. All right. He's saying, just wanted to share the support for MHH. I loved the play, but I still don't trust Vance Joseph. I loved seeing Sean Payton chewing him out again. Now, I wasn't watching the broadcast. I didn't see that. Did you? Must have been a broadcast feature. We'll have to see it. We were there in person, so we'll circle back on that front. But Zach, thank you, buddy. Really appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. We've got Alonzo jumping in. Very generous super chat. Thank you, big dog. Saying we broke the curse of 16. Won a game after leading at halftime, and Nick got to witness a Broncos win. Lots of curses broken. Wasn't perfect, but a great team win. Very well said, Alonzo. Thank you very much, big dog. Appreciate you. Scott's trying to say something, but I'm not going to lean over. Oh, Phoenix Fire in the house. That's a newer name. I don't recognize that. Do you?
I recognize Phoenix Fire.
You do?
I recognize
Okay.
Phoenix Fire.
Nick, you're almost 20 years younger than I. Read this bad boy.
They
Your eyes are
lose
better.
this game to a better team, but the gut check and fight back that wave of gloom was perhaps a start. I thought for sure it was a loss when PS2 got robbed and they scored. Yeah, I mean, that's football, right? You got to be resilient and you got to trust your scheme and each other and, not go out there and play hero ball and just go out there and out execute. I mean, the Broncos today, you guys know, if you've listened to me on any of the Mile High Huddle shows, I harp and rave about turnovers. Broncos don't turn the ball over today. They win it 1-0. That game clinching one was the only turnover of the whole game. Huge to do that. And also special teams. Broncos, Will Lutz, 3 for 3 today on field goals. Packers miss a field goal. Broncos just win by 2. So, I mean, the margins for this team are small, but they go out there and they execute those 2 today, and that's the difference in the game.
This was one of those games that really reveals just how small and thin that margin for error in the NFL really is. So, Phoenix, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's good to see you. Okay, I think we're pretty caught up, right, Scott? We're caught up for now on Supers. Okay, so we got a few more minutes, and then we got a dip. So anything burning on your minds, guys, get it in the chat. We'll do our best to get to it. So real quick, message to everybody that came out for the meet and greet. Some of you you live in Denver, you're there. Many of you, in fact, the majority of you, come from all over the place, all over this country, from the East Coast to California to Arizona. I mean, everywhere. And I just want you to know that we all appreciate you taking the time. I mean, obviously, you get to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Come say hi to us and then go catch a game. But there were many people who made the trip, and they come say hi, and then they bounce. They don't even go to the game. They come to hang out with us, and it's a huge honor. So thanks to everyone that came out today. If you weren't able to make it, we hope to see you at the next one, and I just want to get that in. So, guys, as we wind it down, let's pass the mic to Lance. We'll go around the table real quick. Implications of this moving forward with the Chiefs next up on deck. Lance.
Well, I think, again, just learning how to get a win, being resilient in what you did. I don't know that the fire sale is necessarily going to start. I don't necessarily think that they're going to move on from a whole bunch of players, but I do think that it does, regardless of the win and what it is right now. Again, you still have to reset this culture. You still have to reset this franchise and get started on the rebuild that you definitely need to have. There's a lot of positives to take away from this. The little things, like Nick said, executing your assignments, being perfect on special teams, winning the turnover battle, winning in the running game as often as the Broncos did today. I wish they went with it a little bit more, like I said earlier, but that just getting that desire and the will to win is so huge for this team, even though I don't think it's going to look necessarily the same moving forward here in the next couple of days. Because the trade deadline's next Friday? Halloween. Yeah, exactly. So we're right up against it, and it's going to suck, unfortunately, to see some of these guys move on from, but I think it's necessary regardless of the win today or not.
Okay, Eric, first of all, I hate to be the bearer of not bad news, but to remind everybody, if the Broncos weren't 1 for 4 in the red zone today, this would have been a runaway blowout. Mm-hmm. So there's still a lot of offensive kinks, obviously, to iron out, but what are some of the implications for you moving forward? Does this put the kibosh on the fire sale that everyone's basically been expecting for the last 3 weeks?
I don't think it should. I mean, you beat a bad Packers team. Like, a win's a win. It's a great win. But, you have those issues still. You still have a defense. They're starting to build confidence and everything. 2 good games. But can you still trust them? They started the first half against the Raiders pretty strong, and then they completely fell apart in the second half. So it's hard to say no to the fire sale. I don't think that they trade away everybody. I still think 3 to 5 players get moved. For a decent return, just to rebuild some of that, the lost draft picks that they have.
Ethan's saying that was the last win of the season. Nick, your reply to this, and then also just the implications moving forward.
It's hard to win games in the NFL. It's not like Ohio State playing Indiana or something. So Denver's going to probably maybe not favored in any games the rest of the season, but I'd probably put their over under at about 2.5 right now, maybe 3.5. So it's possible they don't win any more games this season. But I think with how they played today, and also I do think they've kind of found something with the run game the last few weeks. They ran the ball more than they passed against the Chiefs. And I think if they can keep it close and the defense can play as mostly disciplined as they did today, you're going to be able to win some football games in the NFL, because sometimes teams are just going to have bad games against you, and you're good enough to take advantage of that.
Well said, my friend. Grover jumping in with a very generous super chat. Thank you, big dog. He says, happy for the dub, but this team clearly still has plenty of issues to address. Still can't stop the run. And was it just me, or were our receivers constantly bunched together? Hashtag PS2 had possession. MHH for life. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate you. So the Packers finished with 137 rush yards. The Broncos finished with 145. It stings. I'm obviously 137, not good. It stings and sticks in the craw, I think, a little bit more with some of those big gash runs that they pulled off in the second half when they started to build some momentum. But progress on the run game front, but obviously, as he's alluding to, not a solution quite yet. Patriot Text, thank you, buddy. A win is a win, he says. Still think we need a rebuild. Got to get a franchise QB and improve the lines. MHH for life. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, I'm still, nothing I saw from Russ today. I'm on record with everybody in the community. The Kansas City game, I officially came off Russ in terms of my expectation that he is a future guy. He's the answer. He could still justify the King's ransom the Broncos gave up to acquire him, and then the $250 million extension. I'm still off that. Nothing I saw today really moved me off that. Thank you, Mike. Real quick, let's just, as a topic, close on this. What are you seeing from Russ? Do you agree with me, et cetera, et cetera?
I agree 100% with you. I've been kind of off Russ for a lot longer than you, to tell you the truth. But the big thing is today, while he was still effective, there was still a lot of missed plays out there. There was a couple different times he had Cortland Sutton on a deep over that was wide open. I think he had Brandon Johnson on an over route in the end zone that was wide open for a touchdown. He had Chris Manhertz coming on a corner route late in the game on that last field goal possession. Like there's still some things that he's just not seeing it right. And I think that's the big thing is he's got to play with a little bit more confidence. And while it's still effective and he's still out there, playing, I don't want to say winning football, but good enough that you could win with him. He's not the player that you expected to get when you traded, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 3 starters, and then gave, $250 million to. So to me, I don't necessarily know what to do in this particular case right now moving forward, just with the $85 million in dead cap that's coming up. You got to figure out something to do there because he has to be better than what he has, just period, plain and simple.
He's basically got 10 games left to prove that the Broncos are better off with him on the roster than off the roster eating $85 million plus dead over the next few years. But Pearl, thank you so much. We wish you were here today. Hopefully one day we do get to meet you. Really appreciate everyone's support at the meet and greet today. So fun. Appreciate all you guys for making the trip. Many of you traveled. So love you guys. Any closing words? And then we're gonna go ahead and hop off. Let's just go around the horn. I'm gonna pass it to Nick.
Yeah, just back to Russell Wilson. Expectations low coming into this year. I felt like, he still has some issues hitting his drop back, getting through his reads, ducking, bailing on a clean pocket. But I felt today, for the most part, he protected the football. He took calculated shots. You mentioned the Cortland Sutton one. I was really pleased with the pass interference of Brandon Johnson down the slot and the 4 wide receiver set. That looked like he looked off the safety there and then took a calculated shot, even though it's not a completion at the end of the day. You want to be calculated, aggressive. And I thought we had that today in protecting the football. It is low bar, but if the defense shows up like that, the run game is like this, he can be the trailer, not the truck for the offense. And you can win some football games like that.
Well said. Just real quick, I gotta say this. Stu jumping in, Zeus McPeak with a generous super chat. Thank you, brother. Saying thanks for putting the get together together for all of us. Thank you, brother. And it was really cool to be able to say Zeus in person to Stu. And we got a few pictures of it. So go check the MHH socials. It's there, Stu. So cool to see you, bro. And meet you in the flesh for the first time. The first face etched in the MHH Mount Rushmore. Zeus McPeak in the flesh, shook his hand, hung out, got to meet his family. Privileged. Thank you, bud. Ethan, one last time, dude. Thank you. Look at this. Throwing down. He's look, I'm going to have all 3 guys leaving this place with their heads completely inflated. But thank you. He says, Lance, good analysis.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Ethan. I appreciate you, man. Hopefully to see you on Dove Valley Deep Divers on Fridays moving forward. Don't get to see you very often, but thank you for your support, man. Again, it's always well appreciated because, again, without your guys' support, we couldn't do what we do best, man.
True, and we wouldn't have been able to do the meet and greet. So thank you, guys. Eric, any last words, and then we got to dip on out of here.
Yeah, I just want to touch on what Nick was saying about Russell Wilson with the calculated aggression. Like, I've come off always about being such a hater on him, but that's what I've been wanting. Like, seeing what he was doing in Seattle with going for those defensive pass interference, drawing those, willing to take those shots. Like, even though it's not a wide open, shot, like, you're still making the receiver challenge for the ball and like trusting your playmakers. Like, I want to keep seeing that, because it would be easier for him to like consistently be that, and they can commit to him for 2 years comfortably and hope that, he doesn't have a regress back to what he was, rather than having to eat the dead money.
Well said. Is there going to be a Broncos for breakfast tomorrow morning? There will be, but it will be a solo. Scott will be holding down the fort while Nick makes the pilgrimage back home. So, that's the way it is. Michaela, again, she's got a message for Zeus. Wonderful meeting, Zeus. Yes. The first two faces, it really is the truth. On the MHH Mount Rushmore, Zeus and the Duchess, Michaela Parker, they were both there today. It was so cool for us. I mean, we just get a thrill out of that. So, Michaela, thanks for coming down. Thank you for the support. Very generous super chat again. And, of course, Stu, a.k.a. Zeus, for showing up. But, guys, we got to dip on out of here. We'll be back in the saddle. KB, where were you, dude? Where were you, bro? He says, "What's up, fellas? Sorry I couldn't make it today. Took my mom to Mexico for her 75th. First time I watched a Broncos game in Spanish. LOL. Really cool. No, that's one of maybe two excuses that are going to fly. You get a pass. It's all good. Give our best to Mama and wish her the best from MHH on her 75th. But we did miss you, KB. Appreciate you, big dog. But guys, we're out of here. So there will be a Broncos for breakfast tomorrow with Scott Kennedy, and then of course business as usual on the morning show Tuesday. And then there will, of course, be the aftermath episode of the MHH podcast tomorrow night. What exactly that looks like, not sure quite yet. Got a few things juggling, but there will be a show, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, you know the drill. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Mile High Huddle. Connect on Facebook. Easy to find, Mile High Huddle. Make sure you're subscribing on YouTube. And check out the merch store, mhhmerch.com. Get your swag on. Get a hat, get a T-shirt, get a Broncos for breakfast. We got some Dove Valley Deep Diver stuff coming in. We got some Building the Broncos stuff, Mile High Insiders. By the way, shout out also to Luke Patterson, to Thomas Hall, to Ron White, to Dylan Von Arx, all making the trip, showing out in force, hanging out, coming down to the stadium. So cool to be just to be able to spend time with everybody all in one place as a staff. It was a privilege. So, guys, thank you.
Yes, sir.
This was awesome. Much love and respect. We're going to dip on out of here. For this cast of characters next to me here, I'm Chad Jensen. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.